So gas prices, we're supposed to be coming up to the summer
driving season.
That is the excuse that everybody uses when oil prices start to go up. And
it didn't actually work out that way the last couple of years.
Right.
I mean, that's part of the reason I'm
so
looking at it
you're just saying
today.
that's just a useless talking point that's used on television shows like this all the time?
I would never say anything like that.
Okay.
I'd never denigrate your profession.
Okay, but no, I would, but that's okay.
That's up
so
to you.
Gas prices, what does it cost right now on average to fill up your tank?
The
in
average
US?
nationwide is about $4, just a shade under $4. I know in certain areas it'll be above that, but it's around
been higher
$4.
in the past few years, but not much, right?
Not much. I mean, it peaked. The national average peaked in mid-08 at something like $4.15 a gallon, something like that. But in terms of sustained prices, like the average over the last 12 months, it's the highest it's ever been.
Right. And yet, your view is, you know what? The worst, if you're worried about prices, the worst is probably behind us. Prices may be trending downward in the coming months.
Yeah, there's a big debate going on in the market at the moment. It's very finely balanced. I tend to come down on the side of people who say that there are risks that essentially the market's going to loosen up a bit over the summer, and there's a few reasons for this. One reason why the market is tight, I mean, obviously there's the Iranian thing, which is keeping oil prices high.
By the way, I hate that. I mean, that's like falling out of the news in the last few weeks. Has something happened? It's weird. The oil market, what they respond to, it's like nothing's fundamentally changed in the Middle East, has it?
No, but that's why, I mean, if you didn't have the Iranian factor, I would say Brent would probably be 10 to 20 bucks below where it is now. But the other factor you've had is actually on the refining side. We've seen a lot of refineries close down in the past 3 or 4 months. We've seen a few on the East Coast, Sunoco, there's Conoco, which is trying to sell this refinery that Delta Airlines might want to buy. Removes capacity. We've seen one shut down in the US Virgin Islands, and we saw Petroplus in Europe go bankrupt. So that's kind of tightened things on the refining side. The other thing that's happening is the US has started exporting a lot more gasoline and other refined products, particularly to Latin America, particularly Mexico, Brazil, where they had a bad sugar crop last year, so that removed a lot of ethanol from their market, so they took a lot of US gasoline to make up for it. Looking ahead to this year, some of those refineries are going to come back on. Petroplus's refineries, at least one of them is due to come back on by the end of May. And we've got a big expansion of a refinery in Port Arthur.
So your point is, a lot of these kind of one-off factors
in the next couple of months
that affected prices,
the market may loosen up. Exactly.
The market may loosen up.
And we're still not seeing big demand in the US. We're not seeing it in Europe. I mean, in the UK, for example, overall oil demand is back to where it was in the mid-1960s.
Right, but by the way, we should remind our viewers.
Yeah.
If you live in the UK, you're paying a heck of a lot more for a gallon of gas than you are
you're up
here
around
in the US.
9 or 10 bucks a gallon.
I mean, you're paying 2 times.
But that's why we drive very small, awful cars. Very
Do you
short
think this
distances.
will pop up? Do you think, the implication of your insight would suggest that this as a political issue may in effect go away a little bit over the summer rather than rising as a lot of people, if you talk to the White House, would be concerned with gas that goes over $4 a gallon nationally. You're saying that, maybe they
might get some relief.
They might get some relief.
I think there's 2 things to take away from this. One is I think there's a good chance that gasoline does not spike to $5 a gallon over the summer, which is good for the White House. I think the other thing that all politicians could take away from this, frankly, is this analysis would tell you that gasoline is not something that gets set by the White House. It doesn't even get set just by U.S. demand.
It's actually a market.
It's a market. It's affected by what goes on in Brazil, by what goes on in Europe. It's not just something. It's
actually a real
gets
global
set
market
by America. Yeah.
It was a tinge of.
Tinge of what?
There was a tinge of something.
An edge?
I'll talk
there
about
was an
that.
edge?
Yeah, it was an edge on something. I'll talk about that later with you.